So what are the external powers? First point, we understood that what is colonization. The author is giving some emphasis on gentlemen. Can an accused be setting up the judiciary team? Hello students, welcome to EOC, which stands for English Online Classes. I am Mahesh and in this video, we are going to learn about the first lesson of first PUC English, that is The Gentleman of the Jungle, which is written by Jomo Kenyatta. Before going to the lesson, let's learn some fun fact about English. That is, in English, only two words ends with GRY. That is, one is hungry, second one is angry. If you find any word which ends with GRY except these two, please put that in the comment section, and in the next video I will be giving the shout out to that person who finds the third word which ends with GRY. So let's move on to the lesson, The Gentleman of the Jungle, and learn something about the author Jomo Kenyatta. So students, this is the photo of Jomo Kenyatta. He was an African political leader and he was the first president of Kenya. Jomo Kenyatta used to be supporting and campaigning about African land and African political rights. So he was like fighting for the land and political reforms in Africa for African people against some external powers. So what are the external powers and what is the condition and how he represented Africans' condition to the world and whole of the scenario we will be learning in this lesson, Gentleman of the Jungle. First one, you have to keep in mind that you have to look at the word the Gentleman of the Jungle. The gentleman, you have to keep in your mind, the author is giving some emphasis on gentlemen of the jungle. Why he is saying some people are there who are called as gentlemen in the jungle, because all of we know that in jungle there are animals, right? So why he is saying gentlemen in the jungle? Let's learn that in this lesson, Gentleman of the Jungle. As I said to you before, there is some external factors which is emphasized in this lesson, and you can see here in this slide, that is the background of the lesson. So let's know some background about the lesson briefly. So this chapter throws light on 19th century colonial era and misuse of supreme power by Europeans in Kenya, exploitation of Kikuyu ethnic groups and their culture, innocence, tradition, natural resources, and a lot more. This lesson is narrated in the form of fable. So before going on to the discussion in this background, so let's learn something about colonialism. In short, colonialism means one external person comes into an alien place and he is establishing his power and he is regulating that particular place. For example, the native example for us as Indians is British and Indians. Here we were under colonial era which was ruled by British, and we were the colonial country and British were colonizers. So now first point, we understood that what is colonization, and now let's look at the first point. Here the chapter throws light on 19th century colonial era and misuse of the supreme power by Europeans in Kenya. So Europeans were in Africa, and especially here in this lesson the author is explaining about European powers in Kenya. So the exploitation and the supremacy of European powers in Kenya, this was explained in this lesson by the author. So second point, exploitation of Kikuyu ethnic group and their culture, innocence, tradition, natural resources, and lot more. So author here in this lesson explains about the exploitation on ethnic group named as Kikuyu in Kenya, and how European powers dominated them and they exploited them and they misused their culture, innocence and tradition as well as their natural resources. So this lesson is actually given in the form of fable. So now the second point we have to remember is, what is fable? So fable means a story which is explained by one person to another. It is not written nor it is somewhere imprinted, but it has passed from one person to another person through mouth, verbally. What we call in Kannada is Janapada Kategalu, or some moral stories what we have seen in books, but actually fable is said by one person to another person through the means of mouth. There is no imprints or books or something like solid evidence, written evidence is not there about these fables, but they are actual stories which said by one person to another through the means of mouth. So now let's see the lesson itself, the gentleman of the jungle. My dear students, before starting the lesson, I want to give you a small reminder that I'll be explaining the lesson in points. So I'll be summarizing the lesson, and if you find any difficulties, please keep your textbooks with you so that you can get the continuity of points, so that you can get to know that okay, this point has been passed and sir is explaining about this particular point, and you can get a clear reference about the lesson as well as the poems. So this was the reminder for you. So let's start the lesson. Once upon a time. Here author starts the lesson by saying once upon a time. Why once upon a time? Because as you all know that once upon a time is used in stories, and I have mentioned you that this lesson is a fable. So actually it is a story. So we don't know when exactly this story is written. So the author is explaining in the sense of story. So he is starting the lesson by saying once upon a time. And once upon a time there was a man and an elephant. And what was the relationship between these two, man and elephant? They were friends. And here elephant represents the European power and man represents African people. One fine day there was a torrential rain. What do you mean by torrential rain? Heavy downpour. Recently we had a heavy rainfall in Udupi, Mangalore, and whole of the Udupi was flooded. So this is kind of a rain where we can say that torrential rain, a heavy downpour of rain, or heavy rain, what do you say, heavy rain or a hard rain where you can't even go outside, you can't even keep your feet outside. So now the elephant, as I said before, elephant was there and man was there. They were having a friendship, and in this torrential rain what happened? Elephant came to man by seeking help from the man, and he said, my dear good man, will you please let me put my trunk inside your hut to keep it out of this torrential rain? And what he says, he comes in that torrential rain. He was drenched in that rain. The elephant was drenched in that rain, and he came by seeking the help from man so that he can save himself from that torrential rain inside the man's heart. So what happens next? Let's see. At that point of time, man replied, my dear good elephant, my hut is very small, but there is room for your trunk and myself. Please put your trunk in gently. So what happened? The man was very kind enough to let the elephant come inside. But here there was a catch. What was that catch? The elephant couldn't enter completely, but man said there is little bit of space left for your trunk, because I have to save myself also from the torrential rain, right? So he said that there is small space for your trunk. So put put your trunk inside gently. And here you have to understand that the hut which I am saying here is the symbol for natural resources in Kenya or in Africa in whole. If we are taking, then it will be considered as Africa. So now let's see what happens. Then elephant replied to man's saying by saying that you have done me a good deed and one day I shall return your kindness. So what elephant said? He said that you helped me today, so one fine day in future I will be helping you also. So this is like kind of a give and take policy. You give me chocolate and I am giving you back the chocolate. So this is kind of a discussion which was going on between elephant and the man. So now we know that elephant's trunk is inside the hut and man is inside the hut, and there is outside torrential rain is going on. So at that time, what elephant says to the man? Let's see. Elephant: my dear good friend, your skin is harder than mine, and as there is not enough room for both of us, you can afford to remain in the rain while I am protecting my delicate skin from the hailstorm. So now what elephant said to the man? Elephant said that his skin is delicate and it can be damaged by the torrential rain which was going outside the hut. So what you do, you stay out of the hut and I will be inside the hut and I will protect my delicate skin from this torrential rain. At that point of time, he pushes the man outside and elephant enters the hut. And now what happened? Man is outside the hut and elephant is inside the hut. Now man starts to grumble and he starts to search for the justice. At this point of time, what happened? The king of the jungle arrives by listening to the grumble of the man and he says, don't you all know that I am the king of the jungle? How dare anyone disturb the peace of my kingdom? Now lion enters to the scene and he says that don't you know that I am the king of the jungle and how dare anyone to disturb the peace in my kingdom? He is the king and he has the power to rule the whole of the forest, and he listens to the grumble of the man and comes to sort out the matter, and he says the peace is getting disturbed by your grumbling or by your crying. So now let's see what happens. Elephant, who was one of the high ministers in the jungle kingdom, said, my lord, there is no disturbance of the peace in your kingdom. I have only been having a little discussion of this little hut which your lordship sees me occupying. Now what the elephant says to the king of the jungle, lion, that there is no disturbance or there is no fight in your kingdom and we are not disturbing the peace of your kingdom, but we are having a healthy discussion about the matter of this hut which you see me occupying. That is the lion seeing the elephant occupying. Now let's see what happens. Lion, who wanted peace and tranquility in his kingdom, said, I command my ministers to appoint a commission of inquiry to go thoroughly into this matter and report accordingly. Now, lion wanted peace and tranquility in his kingdom. So what he did, he commanded his ministers to form a commission of inquiry to the matter which is going on between man and the elephant and sort it out and solve it and report it accordingly to him itself directly. So to solve the issue here between the man and the elephant, lion commands to his ministers to form a commission of inquiry. Now what happens next? Let's see. He then tells man. Who tells man? Lion is speaking to the man now. What he speaks? Let's see. You have done well by establishing friendship with my people, especially with the elephant, who is one of my honorable ministers of state. Do not grumble anymore. Your hut is not lost to you. Wait until the sitting of my imperial commission, and there you will be given plenty of opportunities to state your case. I am sure you will be pleased with the findings of the commission. Man was pleased by the sweet words and waited innocently. Now what happened? Lion started to speak to man and he started to console man in this matter. Don't worry, I have appointed a commission of inquiry and my people will do the best to give the proper justice to you. And he says that you have done a good job by establishing friendship with the animals, especially with one of the ministers of the state, that is elephant. So don't worry about your heart. It is not lost to you. You will be given the time to discuss about the matter and you will be given justice by us, that is the animals. So let's see what happens next. And here man believes lion's word and he waits for the commission to set up and to go through the discussion over the matter of occupation of the heart. But now what happens? Mr. Elephant, who's the accused by man, sets up the whole of the committee members list, that is Mr. Rhinoceros, Mr. Buffalo, Mr. Alligator and the Right Honorable Mr. Fox to act as the chairman and Mr. Leopard to act as the secretary. So the elephant lists out the committee members. How can it be possible? It is not possible, right? Can an accused be setting up the judiciary team? No, it is nowhere possible. But here in this rule of the animals, it is possible and elephant has done that. So what will be the consequence of this list and what will be the decision of the imperial commission which is set up by the elephant? Let's see that now. So now imagine that the whole of the imperial commission's list is set up on the jungle's notice board, and man looks at that notice board and sees the list and he finds that there is no man who's representing his side, that all are animals and there is no one from man's side to represent him. So what is this going on? So what he did, he demanded the lion to give an opportunity and keep someone who is representing from the man's side so that it will be better for the whole of the discussion. At that time what happens? But the animals denied and said no one from man's side is educated enough to understand the intricacy of the jungle law. What is intricacy? The complex system of jungle law. What the animal said, what the lion said, it is the whole of the jungle system is like kind of a rigid and it is a lot of confusing. There is like kind of a huge jungle law and no one from your side is like well educated to understand the matters and the complexity of the jungle law. Now what happens? The lion continues by saying there was nothing to fear as members of the commission were all men of repute for their impartiality in justice, and as they were gentlemen chosen by God to look after the interest of race less adequately endowed with teeth and claws. So what the lion gives the justification for man's demand. He says that the people who are set up in this like commission are reputed for their impartiality and they were chosen by the God himself to look after the less adequate species or race in this jungle which is endowed by teeth and claws. So what does he mean here? That means the men are weak and animals are stronger, and they are well educated and they have the knowledge, and God has chosen them to look after the other race. So he said like this, and now let's see what happens next. So finally the day has arrived to discuss the matter of this issue between the man and the elephant. And in the first phase, the elephant was called up to provide the evidence to the commission of inquiry. And what he did, the elephant walks by brushing his tusks with the sapling which Mrs. Elephant had provided, and said in an authoritative voice. What happens now? Gentlemen of the jungle, there is no need for me to waste your valuable time in relating a story which I am sure you all know. I have always regarded it as my duty to protect the interests of my friends, and this appears to have caused the misunderstanding between myself and my friend here. He invited me to save his heart from being blown away by a hurricane. As the hurricane had gained access owing to the unoccupied space in the heart, I considered it necessary in my friend's own interest to turn the undeveloped space to a more economic use by sitting in it myself, a duty which any of you would undoubtedly have performed with equal readiness in similar circumstances. Now, what elephant said, that as all of you know, as all of the commission member know the matter, there is a dispute between me and the man. I'm not going to waste your time by explaining whole of the thing, but what I'm going to say here is that I saved the heart not just by going inside. I didn't enter the heart by myself, but I was invited by the man. Why? Because there was a huge hurricane and it was to blow off the heart. So man called me to protect his heart. So I thought it is my duty to save the interests of my friend. And what I did, I entered the undeveloped space inside the heart and made it economically useful and saved the heart. By hearing the evidence which is given by elephant, all of the Commission of Inquiry supported Mr. Elephant. At that time, man began to give his own account of the dispute, but the commission cut him short by saying, "My good man, please confine yourself to relevant issues. We have already heard the circumstances from various unbiased sources. All we wish you to tell us is whether the undeveloped space in your hut was occupied by anyone else before Mr. Elephant assumed his position." But the man began to say no. But now what happened? All of the members in the Commission of Inquiry supported Mr. Elephant's evidence, and then later on, what happened? Man started to give his explanation or his evidence to the matter. At that time, Commission of Inquiry cut him short and asked just one question, that before Mr. Elephant entered the hut and made it economically useful, before that, if anyone had entered that and used it for their benefit, or whether they have developed the undeveloped space in your heart. And at that time the man says no. But what happened? We have come to the end of this video, and remaining we will be studying in the next video. So if you liked our video and you want to show some affection and save us from the torrential rain which is done by the elephant, then subscribe to our channel and click on that bell icon so that you will be getting the notification whenever we upload the video about EOC. So keep studying, stay safe. Thank you. Have a nice day.